flight attendant's sharp voice cut through the cabin. "Sir, this seat isn't yours." Heads turned toward a tired single dad in seat 12F, holding his daughter's small hand. Whispers spread like wildfire. Another passenger wanted him gone. But in seconds, the man's quiet call sign would echo across the intercom, and two F-22 fighter pilots circling above would rise to attention. Nobody on that plane would ever forget the name they heard. The confrontation began mid-air in the narrow aisle of a crowded flight. A man with weary eyes and a weathered face sat quietly in seat 12F, his daughter pressed against his side, clutching her stuffed bear. The hum of the engines should have been soothing, but instead, tension crackled. A passenger stood tall, insisting the single dad was in the wrong seat. "Sir, please move," the attendant said firmly, her patience thinning. Murmurs spread among travelers. Some leaned closer, curious. Others turned away, unwilling to be part of another public dispute. The man in 12F said nothing. His silence was not weakness. It was the kind of silence born from battles most of these people could not imagine. His chest rose slowly as he took in a deep breath, steadying himself not for the argument, but for his daughter's eyes watching every second. No one in the cabin knew that beneath his calm exterior lived a history carved by service, sacrifice, and shadows of war. Years ago, he had been a fighter pilot, soaring through foreign skies in an F-22 Raptor, his call sign whispered with respect across radios. He had carried the weight of missions that would never make the evening news. Missions where lives were saved in silence and losses were mourned in private. He remembered the smell of jet fuel clinging to his uniform, the bone-deep exhaustion after endless hours on alert, and the ache in his heart the day he came home to a folded flag instead of his best friend. The cockpit had taught him one truth. Heroes do not always wear medals. Sometimes they sit quietly with their children, simply grateful to breathe another day. But today, gratitude was being tested. His daughter's small hand squeezed his tightly. Her eyes searched his face for answers. Why were people staring at them like they didn't belong? Why was her father being told to move as if his presence was an inconvenience? The man did not argue. He simply reached into his worn leather wallet, pulling out his boarding pass. The seat number was clear, 12F. Still, the accusations hung in the air, and silence from the crowd made the sting worse. Nobody spoke up. Nobody defended him. And yet, in that silence, a storm was building. Because high above, slicing through the blue sky, two F-22 Raptors were on patrol. Their radios buzzed with routine chatter until a familiar call sign slipped through, one that had not been heard in years. The captain of the flight crew, recognizing the name on the manifest, had whispered it through secure channels. The call sign spread quickly. Within moments, the two pilots stiffened in their cockpits, hearts pounding. This wasn't just another passenger down below. This was the man they had studied, the pilot whose maneuvers had once rewritten the very handbook of air combat. Back in the cabin, the confrontation ended not with raised voices, but with an announcement. The captain's voice carried over the intercom, calm yet laced with reverence. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have an honored guest aboard. Some of you may know the call sign. To us, it means respect, courage, and sacrifice." The name echoed through the speakers. The passenger who had demanded his removal sank into silence, face pale. The crowd shifted, realizing they had been in the presence of someone far greater than their assumptions. From the window, a little girl pointed and gasped. The two Raptors had pulled alongside, wings tilting in perfect salute. The single dad closed his eyes for a moment, holding his daughter tighter. His silence had spoken louder than any argument. "Respect isn't demanded," he whispered softly to her. "It's earned and remembered." Passengers rose slowly, many placing hands over their hearts, others bowing heads. No words could capture the weight of the moment. The injustice was shattered, replaced by honor. In that narrow seat 12F, the world finally saw not just a tired father traveling with his daughter, but the quiet strength of a man who had once carried the sky on his shoulders. And as the fighters soared away, leaving trails across the heavens, the lesson lingered. Sometimes the quietest person in the room has the loudest story. Silent strength. Sacrifice carried in shadows. Respect that lives on even when the uniform is gone. Stories like this remind us why honor matters. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below, let us know where you're watching from, and subscribe for more stories that shine light on silent heroes.